So it's Friday. It's finally you hangout time. Apologies for the delay. I cocked up on time zone maths. So without further ado, let's talk to the Script.io guys. How you guys all doing?
Doing great.
Coffee, so
yeah. So I think originally calculated the time. I think it would have been like 5 a.m. or something. So yeah, I don't think you guys would have appreciated that too much. Oh no, you guys there? Ah.
Okay.
Oh, you're back. Yes, fine. Okay. Hopefully, no more technical glitches. And so yeah, obviously we've managed to get you guys on. But as always, we try to do some introductions. So we'll take it from the left, Erica. So how did you get involved? Okay, so maybe you're right, but yeah, Erica, how did you get involved with Umbraco? So I know that you obviously all work for Mindfly and you do Umbraco stuff, but how did you all kind of individually kind of get involved?
I think that when Mindfly decided to adopt Umbraco, Rusty Swain and I were the first on board, and we headed down to training in Seattle with Paul, and
okay.
Dived right in.
How many years ago was that?
And that was 5 years ago.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah. And then it was just a matter of bringing the rest of the studio on board, I guess. So.
Awesome. Kyle, yourself. So how long have you been using Umbraco?
Yeah, a little less than that.
Okay.
I dragged everybody down to Seattle, so they just handed me Paul's training.
There you go. Just read this. You'll be fine.
Just read that, and I'm like, okay, let's learn about Umbraco. And the first couple projects we had were basically rescue projects. So we were learning about Umbraco while learning how people did it badly. So that was pretty.
Yeah, I bet that was fun. How not to do it?
Yeah, right.
Made us stronger.
Yeah. Crucible by fire is good. I think actually Janae's been involved quite a bit longer.
Yeah, so I've actually been involved with Umbraco, not directly in the way that like the studio working on it, but when I started working at Mindfly almost 7 years ago, we were working with Paul before he started working for HQ.
Okay, yeah.
I was doing HTML templating for sites that he was putting in Umbraco, and I was actually working some in Umbraco to do CSS and HTML modifications.
Uh-huh.
That was, about 2 years before we adopted Umbraco.
What version?
Oh, goodness.
It was Umbraco 2, I think.
I think it was Umbraco 2, yeah.
Yeah, old. Awesome.
It was horrifying. She's like, what is CMS?
But I was super crazy about it because our CMS that we were using, which we made in-house,
Yeah,
right?
like any agency, yeah.
Right? Did not allow me to edit my CSS in the CMS.
So this was groundbreaking. Yes, I can do my CSS.
Exactly.
So, obviously, you guys have been using Umbraco for quite a while now. What do you kind of enjoy getting to use Umbraco for? So obviously you build a lot of. So is it mainly not rescue projects anymore now, or?
I think it's a mix of both. We still get some rescue projects, but our preference would be from the ground up.
Yeah, like for anyone. Awesome. So today we're going to talk about Script. How do we pronounce it?
We hope it's Script because we've been saying it that way. It's a Danish word.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we didn't hear any Danish speakers speak it.
Oh, no, Google Translate.
Says Script.
Script. Okay.
So we're hoping we're saying
Did you get
right.
Niels or anyone to kind of not say it whilst he was over at U West Fest? No, don't they just normally mumble words? Isn't it just like Script?
There's some funny stories about that, but no, we didn't have the name chosen in at the time. So we actually did ask Anders of T-Commerce fan to a bunch of Danish words for us, and
Script was not one of them.
no.
Oh. So just to fill everyone in, because everyone may not know, what is Scrift? What's the idea? Or what is Scrift? Who wants to take it?
Well, we had to come up with that actually as we made it. So I like to think of Script as sort of a, well, as we call it, a community magazine for Umbraco. It's meant to augment what's already out there for the Umbraco community, like You Hang Out and the r.umbraco forum and all that.
Yep.
Way to have a place for community members to write cool articles to keep everyone excited about Umbraco all year long, instead of just around the festivals or Code Garden or when someone writes a really clever blog post somewhere else. So so I mean it's a community magazine, it's the short version.
Okay. So obviously you've had edition 1 already. So how and why did it come about? Why do this? Why? Yeah, come on, tell me why, Erica.
Ideas started maybe last December. Kyle and I were just chatting, mostly about US Fest. We were trying to kick off the marketing campaign for that, and the North American community is vastly different than the European Umbraco community, and so we're just bouncing around ideas of, it's so hard for us to ramp up and get engagement in the few months before US Fest.
Yep.
So we were thinking, what can we do the whole year to keep this on people's radars? And then it just kind of exploded from there, I guess. And not just US Fest, but what about the Belgian Fest or the UK Fest? Or how can we be talking about these things all year round and not just in the month or two preceding that? And then how can we also meet people where they're at? So one of my biggest takeaways from running US Fest the last couple of years is a lot of people aren't on Twitter, and I guess I just made the assumption that the Umbraco community, that's where
I would make that assumption that we're quite a noisy bunch on Twitter, and the assumption is that everyone uses Twitter, and
it's not true.
Okay.
So my biggest plea this year at US Fest, and I would like to put it out to the entire community, is where are you? Because we're willing to meet you there, and that is another reason why we got behind this idea for a community magazine. It's another platform to try to reach people and draw people in, and then find people who aren't already a voice in the community, give them a platform, maybe more in their comfort level, something that's not a forum or something like that. I'm not a big forum person, so you're not going to find me on the forums, but I might write an article for a magazine.
That's a great point you make there. That you might not feel comfortable like using the forum day in, day out, but writing maybe an article piece on maybe UI and UX for Umbraco sites would be perfect for an article for Scrift.
Yeah. I would say there was a big conversation on Twitter that happened before that, about 2 months back at this point. People like James South and Robbie and a lot of other kind of diehard Umbraco participants who aren't users. And so their contributions go sometimes less visible, less noticed. And so we're just finding another way for people to contribute that aren't in that format.
Right.
And while we all really love the forums, I mean, they're awesome, it's actually really hard, especially for us West Coasters, to get involved in them. Yeah. Because by the time we're trying to post something, you guys are out of the pub when we get in the mornings.
Yeah, exactly. Or Jan Skovgaard is normally answered within like 30 seconds anyway. Around the time zones, there's normally probably a reply. So obviously, Erica, you brought up a good point about engagement in the US. So how do you think it could be improved? So obviously, is it literally just because of demographic in terms of like the size of the country is just so bloody massive that getting people together is a hard thing to do? Is that mainly the problem?
I think that's only part of the problem. I think in terms of meetups or US Fest, getting people to come out, but the other problem that we're having is finding people. Because I feel like in Europe, you're more freelancers and agency workers. And in the US, there's some of that, but there's also a lot of people in-house at big corporations that don't necessarily get out and rally behind their CMS, even if they so it's just a different audience, I think. And but the point of Script is not to be like a US based thing or
no.
thing. So we do want global involvement, but it also brings up the point if the US is that way, I don't know, maybe Australia is that way, or maybe India or China, or maybe they face the same things that we have. Those are also very large countries.
We had a newsletter sign up from China yesterday, so we definitely have engagement from other countries that aren't necessarily our top radar.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. So obviously, with Scrift being a magazine, obviously you released your first edition last month now, or 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was the first Tuesday of.
Yeah, so we're gearing up for issue 2 on this coming Tuesday.
Awesome. So it was an interesting first edition. I would say it was a nice mix of tech, in terms of having a tech kind of Umbraco related thing, and obviously there was that post from Doug, which was a bit kind of more open-minded, or is that going to be something going forward, that it's not always just going to be focused heavily on Umbraco and tech, and is it going to be kind of other pieces planned for Scrift?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to have a combination of technical pieces as well as what we call kind of like lifestyle articles.
Yeah.
Community when you're not at your desk, so to speak. And Doug's article was written based on a presentation he gave at both US Fest and Umbraco UK Festival.
Yep.
And of course, it was so well received, we thought everyone should have a chance to do it. And so we really hoped he was going to want to write for our first issue, and it turned out he was already writing such a piece, so we were able to get that. This upcoming edition that we have in May, we actually have 2 technical pieces, but we do encourage people that have advice to offer that isn't just code advice. It could be design advice, UX advice, life for the busy developer advice.
Yep.
Please all write, because that mixture is going to keep it exciting and apply to everybody.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So with that in mind, should we take maybe a quick look at the site for some people who've not maybe seen the site? And we can have a quick flick around, and we can carry on chatting in the meantime.
Yeah, that's great.
So whilst you're flicking that up, Jamie Pollock asks, according to Google Translate, Scrift equals font. Why font? Did he get the translation right? Firstly.
So that's. Do you want this or?
Yeah, go.
Sure. So the story behind the name is I really like, I don't know if people have heard of the platform Medium. It's basically a community blog. Anybody can sign up, anybody can post on it, anybody can talk about what they want.
Yep.
And I really, really like the name. It just resonates with me for some reason. And so I started generating word lists, trying to think of something along those lines, but obviously not copying or something. And nothing kind of stood out to me in English. So I started going with Danish, and anything around writing or ink or typing or fonts or something, and landed on Script. And then we started batting around ideas on playing it off of Umbraco with the whole Allen wrench, Allen key thing, and
Yep.
that route, and didn't really like any of those. So we landed back on Script. And it can mean font, but it was a little unclear whether it was Script as in a manuscript.
Okay.
Or script as in a font, like the written word, which I think is applicable in both cases. And then I actually had a Twitter conversation with Niels about the name, and he said that it can also mean to confess, which I just thought was brilliant.
Awesome.
Right.
So,
We totally meant that.
Yeah, exactly. But I just kind of love it. I think that it fits kind of what we're trying to go after with it. So.
No, it's really nice. Yeah, so whilst you've been chatting about that, we've obviously been looking at the site in the background. It's obviously a nice, clean, I'd say simple website, but it gets the point across and gets the article at the center and forefront of the attention, and that gets what you need done, so to speak. But I also love the kind of oh, you're going to show me some breakpoints here?
Yeah, go ahead, Janae, why don't you talk?
Yeah, so it is completely responsive. We use James South's responsive, so
Which we love.
We absolutely love.
We like to make sure everybody knows that.
We'll be accepting the check in the mail.
Some people like to read articles, especially on their phones, probably more than anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe on my like commute to the office. Yeah, something like this is definitely going to be like, oh, just on the way in the work onto train, let's just read this magazine or these articles, and yeah, that's definitely how I have read Swift.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that we build all of our sites in responsive, and I say that by which I mean a responsive website, but also using James's responsive as well. So it should break very nicely on, looking for iPad here, I'm a little far away from the screen, on a lot of different browser sizes. Everyone should be able to read it comfortably, no matter on a computer screen of varying sizes or on their phones. And we are using the image cropper and everything, so the load times should be nice for the images, and yeah, it should be great.
Yeah, so you just scrolling past that illustration. Is that your work, Erica?
Actually, no, that is our coworker, also another Mindflyer. Her name is Stacy, and she's doing the artwork for us, and it's probably something that we might open up to the community as well for contribution for that, as well as the articles. I think she's doing a fantastic job, and we will be rolling out an artist page as well to showcase her and anybody else who contributes artwork.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously, with first edition out the way, what's the kind of the bigger picture for the project? Obviously, it's early days, kind of infancy, but is there kind of bigger plans for the project that that we don't know about yet?
Oh, okay, big plans. Well, so let's see. I mean, at the moment for the first year, the goal is to actually have content for like the first 12 issues.
Yep.
And,
I'm sure you're not going to have a problem with that. There's plenty of content.
Through June at least, and I think we have some nibblings for July, and Coast Guard are going to be, come to us, talk to us, and be like, "That's something to say." We're going to be like, "Awesome, thank you."
Yeah.
That we're going to try to expand the amount of articles eventually, if we can ensure that there's a large enough pipeline, so we can have more than just 2 pieces to read. That's the first part. We have an event calendar that we want to include. We want to use this as a platform for people to promote meetups or festivals.
Yep.
So that it's easy to have that information. I know all that exists technically on r.umbraco, but you don't see it used as well as it could be by a lot of people. So maybe it's the location of the site isn't as obvious to some members of the community.
Yep.
Communication. Hey, please tell us about it. As has been noted in America, it's really hard to get meetups to go. And the size of the country is definitely part of it. I mean, it's freaking huge. So
Yeah.
the West Coast, you can't go to New York for a meeting. And so then you have to find everyone near Seattle. And so that's part of it. And we probably have some more ambitious plans beyond that, but we're not quite willing to reveal the hand until we,
No? Awesome.
we haven't burned down a house on the first floor. So that's the story, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to think bigger picture. So
Ideally, my goal would be that we have so many people that want to write for Script that we're lined up at least 6 months early with articles.
that would be an awesome goal.
That would be super, super sweet.
And just a level of participation and amount of voices. Diversity is one thing we'd like to see. There's a lot of people that work in Umbraco, women,
Yep.
that don't feel comfortable always putting themselves forward.
Mhm.
So we want to encourage people with different views to write, because I think it values that, it's important for everybody. So that's part of it. It's not just getting the same olds lined up. We have a lot of people that everyone knows about for the first few issues,
Yep.
which is great. But we want new voices.
Yeah, I was going to say, how you drive in that kind of, like with anything in any kind of community, normally it's the same faces or the same names that keep coming up time and time again. How are you going to drive kind of new contributions? How are you going to encourage people who maybe have just been lurking in the background?
With difficulty. Part of it's aggressively asking for it. With US Fest, we really attempted, which is technically not aligned with this, but we're behind both. US Fest, we tried so hard to make people we asked if you're doing an alarm going
Yeah.
Go on me. It's a lovely time of day. What can you answer that question?
Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of it is just as we put ourselves out there. We're pretty friendly people. We talk to a lot of people. I'm hoping to get a lot of contacts out of Co-Garden this year to talk to people I haven't met yet and that aren't the same old. I think, even though I love you all too, I think our first few issues are probably going to be stacked with people that are already known in the community because we're having to go after them ourselves to try to space. But our hopes would be that as people find out about the magazine, that they'll start coming to us, I think, and that we can individually expand our networks and help to draw in other people just by forming more relationships.
Yeah.
I think.
And part of it's just some aggressive questioning, for example, Bob Baby Bar, the icon of the American Umbracoite, he's made it a point to push forward people that say work with him in Umbraco, but that he knows about. He's like, these people should go to conferences instead of me. These people should talk instead of me. Mm-hmm. And he's aggressively pushing them forward. So we're going to go to people like that. We'll go to people like Bob or like you or other people that people know and say, who are your unknown coworkers that work in Umbraco that have something to say?
I know of plenty of people who do great work, but just don't maybe get their name out there as much for various reasons.
We are absolutely willing to help with topic generation ideas. We do go through an editing process, so if English is not your first language, don't worry about it. We're going to help you out with that and make sure your piece comes across nicely. So we don't just kind of write something and throw you to the wolves.
Awesome. Whilst you've just mentioned Bob has actually just tweeted us a question. He says, at the end of the day, when people talk about Scrift, what is the story that they want told? Do we have you stumped?
we had a full conversation earlier. You didn't ask that question. No.
I'm going to do the letter from editor for this next issue. Mm-hmm. And I think that what I want to talk about in it, and I think what Kyle talked about in his letter from the editor in the first issue, is when people come away from Script, I want them to be talking about the same thing that I think of when I think of the Umbraco community, and that is that we're a community, that we're a group of people that love the same thing, that are friends, despite the fact that we're across the pond and beyond.
Yep.
And that we look forward to seeing each other and talking to each other, and that we're excited about what we do and about the people that we know.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. If you can get that level of reaction from people coming away reading from Script, then you've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a lofty goal, but I think...
I think you can do it.
Foot in the door, right?
I'm sure it almost gets obnoxious to hear Umbracoites use that word over and over again, community. But, I've worked in a lot of different technologies and a lot of different pieces of software. And I do feel that this group is unique in that it's sort of, we care about the people almost as much, if not more, than what the CMS is. Yeah,
I'm totally 100% behind that. The CMS is one thing, but the people is what makes Umbraco, I'd say. It's a bit cliche, but it's totally true.
Right, and we want to help push that forward, so that way that there's more engagement in that and more opportunities for the members of the community. And so they feel like we're contributing to it. So, you think about R.Umbraco, you think about U Hangouts, you think about Script, and that's all part of the community. Yeah. So we can be a tool there.
Awesome. I'm just trying to think. I had a train of thought, and then I've lost it.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, good. At least I'm not the only one. No, you made a good point, Carl, about other communities in terms of friendliness. Have you kind of experienced working with kind of other CMSs or other technologies that and kind of not experienced this kind of friendliness, so to speak? So I've come from a background and done some JavaScript and things like that. And obviously you have to use Stack Overflow, and Stack Overflow is probably not the most friendliest of places to have to go around looking for questions and posting answers.
Yeah, exactly. Stack Overflow. You can get your answers, but it's not very nice about it. I would say that the Angular community, I do a lot of work with the Angular framework.
Yep.
And it's a group of very opinionated, slightly rabid developers that probably mean well in a lot of cases, but come across very aggressively. You'll do this way, or I'll cut you. Software with very opinionated developers. So that one comes to mind immediately.
Okay.
As a hostile community.
Anyone else?
I think that, Eric and I have had the distinct pleasure of working in an environment where we have a lot of female coworkers. But as women in tech, I think, we can talk for hours on end.
Yeah, we could.
About communities and our friends that work for different corporations like Adobe and stuff that go to conferences, and there's like no women at all, and the women who are there are treated terribly. And we always feel just so much love and friendliness from the Umbraco community. No one ever treats us like we're idiots when we ask questions, which is really the most common thing for me is when developers treat me like I'm an idiot because I'm a girl. So when I ask a question that any guy would ask, that I'm somehow dumber, but that never really happens in the Umbraco community. I'm treated like I'm equal intelligence and an equal ranking as everybody else. And I think that just really speaks to the type of people that we have.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make. Other communities, unfortunately, like you say, not so friendly to female tech users, which is a shame. But like you said, this is a great community, and I'd like to think, that we all see each other as equal, gender, race, whatever. So that's awesome. What I was going to ask, and I've just remembered, how have you been keeping an eye on analytics for the site? How are you guys doing? Is kind of traction going well in terms of like what you expected?
Our launch went way better than what we expected. So
I
I did pop in on the analytics the other day, and obviously big spike around the launch, and then a little cool down period.
That's to be expected, yeah.
So hopefully we'll get another spike on Tuesday. We are daily getting subscribers to our newsletter. We've had one out so far. We'll have another one out on launch day as well, in case people don't want to come back to this site or don't remember to come back to the site.
Yeah.
So just a friendly reminder
Yeah, we'll
that
just
there's and then Twitter followers, we're still gaining those as well. So I think overall it's been going really well, and because it is a once a month kind of launch for articles, I guess we'll just see how that cuts into it.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned there was some sign up in China, but have you managed to get geographics in terms of, is it kind of focused in the US? Is it mainly Europe? Kind of UK, Denmark? Where's the load?
We just named 3 of them. So
Okay.
So I believe our most popular country by volume is UK, and then followed by I believe it's US and then Denmark. It might be Denmark and US. Those are the 3 biggest. But I'll be honest, we were really impressed with the amount of large view user amounts. I'm good at this. Metrics.
I do web, honest.
I work web. I'm good. Okay. So Europe is actually fairly well represented in Western Europe mostly, but Europe in general,
Yep.
The US of course, and then I'd say Australia are our 3 biggest. But we've had, reflecting the community, there's been some people from every continent that has people that have visited.
No one from Antarctica.
Yeah.
Get on that plane.
And to be honest, we were kind of baiting for the European audience by making sure to be awake at midnight to push up the post. So that was the alarm's going off again. So that was the intent.
Yeah.
Awesome. With that in mind, is there any kind of audiences or targets that you would like to kind of increase in terms of, so obviously, like you said, Europe, that was to be expected. There's a big kind of Umbraco community in and around Europe. Are you expecting to kind of go like further east in terms of like India, Africa, and kind of that way, or is there kind of no real kind of goals in terms of trying to audience?
I don't think that we've ever really talked about in specific location in terms of audience we want to go after, but I think it would be great to go after everywhere aside from Europe. Europe just naturally falls in line.
All the countries.
Just all.
When we ran US Fest, we think of it as the American Festival. We had one Canadian, poor guy all alone. We also had 2 people from Suriname, which is
from where?
South America.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was great too because they were ethnically Asian developers with an Italian name who lived in a South American country who were visiting an American festival, which felt very Umbraco to me. It's all over the place.
It's not an American festival; it's a Western hemisphere.
Yeah, that's why we chose you.
Yeah, Central America and South America.
We're now adopting South America since the Suriname guys showed up.
Right. Also anyone in that little sliver of Antarctica as well. But you brought up these. I don't know what the metrics are for engagement in India and China, but there's no doubt that those are continuing to be quickly growing areas of web user and web developer hotspots. So if people there in the Umbraco community and they want to be participants, we love it. I mean, we do request that people write English articles because that's kind of the Umbraco community, with code guard, with everything else. It's all English. We can't edit other stuff because I don't speak Mandarin. But but yeah, I mean, we would love to have that wide of a footprint if they're there and they want to.
Yeah, it would be so great to have people from countries in Asia write for us so that they can engage their community more, because I feel like Asia likely has a lot of developers that we are so completely clueless about that we could bring into the community and kind of envelop with everybody else. Yeah,
I totally agree. So Dan Lister asks, sorry I'm a bit late to the episode, but he asks, what are you actually using to create Script.io? I presume he's talking more techie side of things. I would hope you're going to say Umbraco is going to be your first word that comes out of your mouth.
It's built in PHP.
It's built on WordPress and...
Great, yes, so obviously it is built in Umbraco. We're using Articulate to do the posting. So it's all managed through Articulate. For anyone who's not familiar, that's built by Shannon Demreich.
Yep.
And it's very closely knit with the Umbraco core. It is on Umbraco as a service.
Awesome.
So it was built on there. We're trying to keep it, as high level as possible here. For a lot of the projects that we use the hybrid framework and build in that. Script is not built in hybrid. It is built in just core MVC because Pete was having this debate about core MVC versus, code first and stuff on Twitter a couple months ago.
Yep.
And kind of, playing with it because we do a lot of code first here. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just build a script in core MVC and see, how we can spit it out with as much, just freezer as possible and how fast we can do it. And
how fast
I can do it. I built the whole website in about 2.5 days.
Okay. So good.
That was solid. I felt,
around.
Yes.
All the bugs on launch.
Yeah.
Shush.
We got most of this.
Yeah.
So
not having a contact form helped with that a little. We prefer just flat emails anyway. Yeah, why not?
So you talking about code first and kind of MVC or kind of vanilla way. Why the approach for MVC and kind of not code first and hybrid framework? Was it just because of time, or you just wanted to try something different, or?
we're trying to partially time, but then also not over-engineering something that doesn't need to be over-engineered.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a very simple, thing. We're hosting articles.
Yeah.
With just people that are templates for the, about us page and what have you. So we could have done something like that, but we're not delivering such aggressive amount of content or unusual templates that we needed a more complex.
And if I wanted to do it code first, I probably would have wanted to have two separate projects for it, in Visual Studio and with Umbraco as a service. I basically would have had to set up another repo for it and then, build into Umbraco as a service, push my DLLs up and everything. So it seems like then I would be really over-engineering it.
Yeah.
For what we were wanting to do with it. So it seemed like the no square peg in a round hole. It seemed like the best solution for what we wanted to do.
But we also work in an agile process here, so we're all about iterations. So if we ever need to make it more robust or
converting it over is not hard at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is kind of like the first version of the code. It could change. It will change.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't expect it to be such a heavy demand on launch that it crashed horribly or something like that. So we thought we could get away with it this time. We were right.
Brilliant.
Plus, Articulate's already so strongly cached and everything that one of the primary reasons we would have done code first is for caching purposes, and it wasn't really necessary with using Articulate for a significant chunk of the project.
Was there any reason for using Articulate? Say, not rolling your own or using any other package? Why Articulate out of all of them?
I love it. I've used it for blogs for clients a few times now, and it just seemed like it would do everything we needed. When we came out with a list of stuff we needed to be able to tag things by issue number, allow for commenting on posts, release things with specific dates. It just made it, I didn't have to build it out. I just plugged in the package and ran with it. I really like how it's set up as blogs go. It's very simple, but also customizable. We did end up having a little bit of trouble with the RSS feed, but then I messaged Shannon about it, and he gave me a couple ideas and said he was going to update Articulate for the grid view, which we're using as well.
Cool.
For when he gets around to doing it. So in the meantime, I can change the RSS feed, but he is going to update the project eventually.
Brilliant. Good stuff. I think we're going to kind of wrap up now, but is there anything else you kind of guys want to mention about the Script project, or kind of you want to that we've not talked about, or
just another plug to contact us if you want to write?
yeah? So what's the best way? So is it like carrier pigeon? Do I need to like put a message in a bottle, or
No.
Yeah, you can email us at hello@script.io, or you can catch us on Twitter, script_io, or I'm Red Design, CS Squirrel, and Nate Palm.
Yeah, we'll all be at Code Garden. We'll
all be at
hopefully
Code Garden.
have little cards with us that basically write the script and just come up and say, hey, I've got an idea or I'd like a card, and we'll talk to you. We want to be friendly and easy to communicate with. You don't have to have a whole article. You could just have an idea and basically say, I have a thought, and then I'll be like, okay, we'll help you develop out that thought. It make it easy. We also just want to plug again that we have another issue coming up this next Tuesday.
this Tuesday?
Coming right
Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, make
up.
that.
Cinco de Mayo, yeah. So
Yeah, we're releasing on the first Tuesday of every month.
First
Yeah.
Tuesday of every month. Okay, I need to put that in my calendar.
yeah, so we,
Sign up for the newsletter and you'll just get it to your inbox.
yeah, our authors are going to be Stephen Roberts from Off-Road Code and Antoine Gerard, I believe is how you say it.
Antoine from
Yeah.
Le Quati.
Yes. And it's a really exciting pair of pieces that kind of get under the engine and are a little more technical, but I think are going to have a lot of value. So please come check them out.
Awesome. I look forward to Tuesday then. Okay, I think. Go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say on that note, we've said it already once, but we are getting 2 technical articles this month, but we really do still want those lifestyle pieces. So, if you have something to say about, working in tech or, something about the Umbraco community, anything that's not necessarily related directly to code, or if you want to talk about UX or design, then we really welcome all those pieces as well.
Yeah, it's about making well-rounded projects.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And a
Yeah.
So I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, guys. I appreciate it's still probably silly o'clock over there. What is it, like 7:30 maybe?
Yeah.
It's reasonable now.
The sun's up. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
No problem. Have an awesome day. Leave work early, go to the pub early, and have a great weekend. And I will speak to you all very, very soon.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll see you at Code Garden.
Unfortunately, I can't go, but next year.
We'll see you at Code Garden then.
Yes. Excellent. See you soon, guys. Bye.